Have you ever found yourself blindsided by the ever-changing regulations associated with medical devices and medical technology and thought, with so many updates across different global markets, where do I even begin? You might feel frustrated or overwhelmed with the idea of managing increased documentation and updating data requirements to stay current, adapting to older, outdated systems to new regulatory standards. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Regulatory compliance is not just a hurdle to be cleared. It's an ongoing commitment to patient safety and product quality. I'm Cassandra Harbour, former corporate quality manager, and I make regulatory and compliance educational videos to help you reduce the cost of poor quality, increase customer satisfaction, and fortify your company's brand reputation. Today, we're kicking off our Emerging Regulatory Trends series, where we break down the latest changes and show you how to be compliant ready with best practices and strategies. In this first video, we'll break down the key emerging regulatory trends and updates impacting the medical device industry, including software as a medical device, what that means for your business, and what you can do to be better prepared. With the explosion of digital health solutions, AI-driven diagnostics, and global supply chains, the regulatory bar is higher than ever. Let's break down the most critical updates and what they mean for you. First up, FDA cybersecurity mandates, raising the bar. As the technology gets more sophisticated, the regulatory landscape is becoming exponentially more complex. Recently, the FDA issued final guidance titled Cybersecurity and Medical Devices, Quality System Considerations, and Content of Premature Submissions, which incorporates recommendations related to Section 524B of the FD&C Act, superseding the previous guidance from 2023. This means the FDA now requires robust cybersecurity measures integrated into your medical device development lifecycle. This includes robust risk assessments, secure development practices, and detailed documentation in your pre-market submissions. Furthermore, the FDA continues to emphasize the importance of post-market management of cybersecurity vulnerabilities throughout the lifecycle. So why does this matter? Studies show that cybersecurity incidences in healthcare are increasing year over year, and the FDA wants to know that manufacturers have robust protections in place. 5 strategy tips to ensure you have an effective protection plan are: 1. Perform a cybersecurity risk assessment, one that can be updated continuously, not just annually. Have documented processes for vulnerability management and incident response. 3. Ensure that your cybersecurity plan is integrated with your quality system, not just isolated to IT. 4. Embed security in design and development, identifying potential vulnerabilities and planning for countermeasures early in the phase. 5. Invest in security by design product development, which is a philosophy where security is integrated into the entire product lifecycle from initial design to development and maintenance, rather than being added as an afterthought. Real-time vulnerability reporting, pre-market cybersecurity assessments, and mandatory threat management plans are no longer optional. They're essential. Now we'll shift our attention to ISO 13485, also known as the Quality Management System Standard for medical device manufacturers. This remains the gold standard for quality management in medical devices. As we move through 2025, while the 2016 revision remains the current version, we're seeing a heightened emphasis on comprehensive risk management integrated throughout the medical device lifecycle, from design to post-market surveillance. Other regions, including the European Union, Canada, and Australia, continue to recognize and align their regulations with ISO 13485, streamlining global market access for compliant devices. It is anticipated that by February 2026, the FDA's Quality Management System Regulation, also known as QMSR, will fully align with ISO 13485, making the standard a legal requirement for manufacturers targeting the U.S. market. For software as a medical device, this is particularly critical. The software development lifecycle must demonstrate ISO compliance while also meeting software-specific requirements. This means documented design controls for software risk management for algorithms and validation processes for AI machine learning components. So why does this matter? Aligning your quality system with these evolving expectations not only streamlines compliance, but also builds trust with regulators and customers worldwide. Here are some practical and strategic tips that you can adopt to ensure your compliance is aligned. First, assess your quality system, evaluating it against the upcoming changes. Next, develop aligned risk measurements through your system. FDA's Quality Management System regulations will expect manufacturers to define explicit quantitative risk measures upfront, particularly as it relates to probability of hazardous situations occurring that could lead to harm. Adopt a cross-functional governance, assuring that all functional groups involved in risk management activities play an active role in maintenance and governance of the process. And train all employees on the requirements and their roles in maintaining the system. Adhering to ISO standard for medical devices remains a cornerstone for global market access, so staying aligned with these nuances is essential. Next, let's cross the pond and talk about European Union medical device regulations, also known as the EU MDR, and how it continues to be the significant focus for the industry. While the regulation came into full effect in 2021, 2025 is bringing its own set of key updates and enforcement trends. Notably, as of the beginning of this year, Regulation EU 2024/1860 mandates that manufacturers must proactively notify authorities and health institutions about any anticipated disruptions or discontinuation of their medical device supplies. This is critical development to ensure public health is protected from potential shortages. This rule applies to all device types, including legacy devices, impacting both EU and non-EU manufacturers. Moreover, we continue to see a strong emphasis on the functionality and comprehensiveness of the European Database on Medical Devices, also known as the EU DAMED, which is gradually rolling out continuously throughout this year. Leaders should ensure their organizations are prepared to meet the increasing data submission requirements. Enforcement trends also indicate a heightened scrutiny on post-market clinical follow-up, also known as PMCF, activities and the robustness of clinical evidence provided. So, why does this matter? Clinical evidence requirements under medical device regulations are significantly more stringent than what many companies are used to. Notified bodies have become more rigorous in their assessments, particularly around clinical evidence and post-market surveillance. Companies that did the minimum to meet transition deadlines are finding themselves under high degrees of scrutiny, and poor data quality practices in the European database could result in regulation delays and additional scrutiny. 4 strategic tips that you can use to navigate these changes are: 1. Ensure that you understand the new reporting obligation for supply interruptions. At least 6 months advance written notice is expected. 2. Stay informed. Monitor the status of each European database module and understand how it affects your regulatory obligations for registering devices. Plan your transition efforts diligently. Prioritize the higher risk devices such as in vitro diagnosis, also known as IVDR, and aim for early submission of technical documentation. This will help you avoid potential bottlenecks. And 4th, ensure the technical documentation contained with your quality management system is robust, confirming well-developed, maintained, comprehensive, and well-structured documents for your devices. Ensure proactive planning for your clinical evaluations and engage early with notified bodies to avoid costly delays. This isn't just about getting to the market, it's about staying on the market. Jumping into post-market surveillance, across markets, this is no longer a checkbox, it's a continuous process. A critical area of focus for regulatory bodies worldwide, we're seeing increasingly stringent requirements for manufacturers to actively collect and analyze post-market data. This includes real-world evidence integration, where manufacturers are expected to leverage various sources like wearable devices with unique device identification, also known as UDIs, and traceability measures, electronic health records, and remote patient monitoring systems to gain a comprehensive understanding of device performance in a real-world setting. Data pipelines, where companies have established robust data channels to collect and analyze ongoing performance and safety signals. Incidence field reporting, which includes effective timelines for reporting serious incidents, and more frequent, rigorous, periodic reviews of data to proactively detect safety issues. Why does this matter? Regulators expect proactive, continuous monitoring of device performance in real world. And this shift towards real-world evidence is changing everything. The FDA and European regulators want to see that you're actively collecting and analyzing data about how your devices are performing in actual clinical settings, not just controlled studies. And this includes connected devices and software as a medical device. You have the regulatory obligation to monitor this data and act on concerning trends. 4 strategic actions that you can take to ensure that you're ready for post-market surveillance are: 1. Have an automated data collection in place. 2. Have statistical analysis capabilities to identify trends. 3. Identify triggers for investigation and action. And 4. Have clear processes for reporting to regulatory authorities. By ensuring that your organization has a robust system in place for data collection, analysis, and proactive risk management based on real-world device performance, you can ensure the ongoing safety and effectiveness of your company's medical device and medical technologies. So in summary, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this. Consistent and proactive integration of cybersecurity risk management, post-market surveillance, and digital compliance into your strategic plan will enable you to stay ahead of these regulatory shifts. Inputs and updates done regularly will more likely result in enhanced product quality, patient safety, and increase your company's competitive edge over time. So let's recap some practical implementation strategies you can start today. Do Complete an assessment. Conduct a comprehensive gap analysis against current requirements. This means reviewing your cybersecurity plans, your software lifecycle processes, your clinical evidence strategies, and your post-market surveillance capabilities. Do create a system integration diagram. Your quality management system needs to integrate cybersecurity, software development, clinical evidence, and post-market surveillance into a cohesive framework. Do enable supportive technology. Manual processes won't scale with the complex of modern regulatory requirements. You need systems that can handle data integrity, audit trails, regulatory reporting, and continuous monitoring. And finally, do integrate a continuous improvement cycle. You need processes for monitoring regulatory changes, assessing their impact, and implementing updates to your system and processes. Don't treat cybersecurity as just an IT issue. Your cybersecurity plan must be part of your quality management system, not separate from IT. Don't underestimate clinical evidence requirements for software as a medical device. Just because it's software doesn't mean the clinical evidence standards are lowered. In many cases, they're actually higher. Don't have poor data quality in regulatory databases. Poor quality data in regulatory databases like the European Database Module leads to delays, additional scrutiny, and potentially market access issues. And don't perform reactive post-market surveillance. Waiting for adverse events to be reported to you is no longer sufficient. Remember, regulatory compliance isn't just about avoiding penalties. It's about protecting your patients, building your brand reputation, and driving innovation to your business. In our next video, we'll dive into the key changes impacting drug development, manufacturing, and compliance. We'll discuss the 21 CFR Part 11 updates in serialization requirements, and I'll share with you some key strategies that could be leveraged for your compliant and regulatory success for your business growth. That's where we're headed next. Until then, remember this. The convergence of advanced technology and evolving regulations isn't creating complexity. It's creating clarity where medical devices and technology can be both innovative and inherently safe by design. If this video resonated with you, I would love to hear it in the comments. What's one implementation strategy you plan to adopt in your business today? If you like more direction to facilitate changes within your company, my resources found in the description below will help guide you. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.